was only after Robert Kennedy and Anatoly Dobrynin secretly met and discussed politics that the crisis was over. The U.S. in 1955 deploys troops in Vietnam. A quote by Jim Olson: "Those of us who fought the war and came back, we knew it was unpopular war. We came back, we would not be greeted as heroes. We would be greeted with sneers and shoves." The U.S. spent 20 years in Vietnam, lost close to 300,000 soldiers, and lost the war due to the idea of containment theories. Soldiers returned home and were looked down at. Many of the soldiers got PTSD. Later in 1979, after the U.S. backed Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi of Iran, they forced him to leave the country. As a reaction and out of anger, Iranian citizens captured 52 U.S. citizens who worked in the embassy and were not released until 444 days later, on January 20th, 1981. Later, in a video statement released by Osama bin Laden after the attack on 9/11, he said, "Our Islamic nation has been tasting the same for more than 80 years of humiliation and disgrace. Its sons killed and their blood spilled, insanity displayed." It was clear in the later statements that he was mad about the death of innocent people in Iraq and Palestine, and the death and humiliation of the community were motives of 9/11. I'm not claiming that what Osama bin Laden did is anywhere near ethical or excusable. However, maybe if we did not invade Iraq or help out with the Palestinian war, we wouldn't have an attack on 9/11. As of now, it is clear that the U.S. thinks itself as the world's police. Time and time again, the U.S. has been wandering and threatening other countries. Most of the time, the U.S. has tried to police the world.
You have 30 seconds left.
Police the world. America's lost lives. Many of the U.S. citizens, massive amounts of debt, which could have been used wisely in education, healthcare, and people who fought and risked their lives for war. There are many examples of this claimed in the paper. The fundamental problem the U.S. has is things that is an example for the world can learn from, thinking that it can police the world successfully, when it clearly hasn't. I think the same technique will work.
Okay, that's our time. Thank you, prosecution. Did we get through all your stuff okay? Yep. All right, so this side, guys, you're going to go ahead and close your computers and just have out your notes sheet. Just so you guys know, I'm just taking notes on, like, who's talking and, like, what your arguments are, basically.
I did.
All right, defense. Come on up. Okay, this group, I'm still waiting for you to close computers. All right, defense, you may begin. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I'll pause. Hold on, time out. Sorry about that. All right, defense, you may now begin.
America polices the world in order to protect themselves, protect foreigners from harm, and to protect the whole world from major threats like communism and terror. While our goings-on in other countries may result in lots of massive conflicts, it is not necessarily our fault that those things happen.
The Spanish-American War was between the United States and Spain, with the American goal to free Cuba from Spain. An important war during this time was the Philippines fighting for freedom against Spain. The main goal was for Cuba to fight for independence from Spain. Because of the United States, a lot of Canadian camping the sea and continued to try to purchase some larger supplies of ammunition and fuel for the weapons for the Spanish ultimately would lose the battle. The end of the war was the Treaty of Versailles, a treaty between America and France. After Spain had surrendered and the U.S. wanted the control of Cuba, Guam, and Puerto Rico, the United States won the war because of superiority in claiming colonial control over Cuba and Guam. Spain's defeat successfully turned the nation's attention away from its overseas colonial ventures and inward upon its domestic needs. America is not overstepping their boundaries on policing the world because there are countries that need to be controlled.
America saw similarities between the American Revolution and the Cuban Revolution, which means yellow journalism contributed to the Spanish-American War while swaying public opinion to support the war itself. So what it's trying to say is that the yellow journalism helped out to support the Spanish-American War by swaying the public.
America fought Spain in Cuba because Cuba was suffering due to the Spanish. America took the battle to Cuba to fight Spain to like gain leverage. So after they gained leverage, they decided to give them the Platt Amendment, which stated that the U.S. could interfere with Cuba whenever it wanted, and they basically just helped to give Cuba independence from Spain.
So America wanted to stop Spain from making the Philippines a Spanish colony, and the Philippines found that being allies with the United States was to their advantage. During the war, America saw more involvement with women in the war nurses' jobs. So during World War I, the United States, including President Wilson, chose to remain neutral until they were directly threatened by Germany, who announced unrestricted warfare in war zone areas, and when a message from Germany telling Mexico to attack the United States in exchange for an alliance in 1917. And President Wilson thought that he represented the people and said, "The ear of a leader must ring with the voices of the people." And for this reason, Wilson chose to stay out of the war with all of the people's best interests in mind. However, when the United States was faced with terror, they chose to act and enter World War I.
America had to step into battle when the British admitted that they needed help. They had to help the British defeat Germany, and it ended with victory to their side. Women began to take jobs that were traditionally male jobs. African American women were able to make their first major shift from domestic employment to work in offices and factories. Also, research has shown that a limited amount of African American women served overseas volunteering at YMCA, and large support groups like the American Red Cross were dependent on female volunteers.
At the end of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles made Germany take responsibility for the war. This was through the War Guilt Clause and pay for damages caused by the war.
In order to protect themselves and others, America had to join World War II to stop the Japanese from attacking, as well as to aid in liberating concentration camps and save victims of the Nazi rule in Germany. America was able to liberate the camps Buchenwald and Dachau, freeing thousands of prisoners. Without America's involvement in the war, the Allies would have lost, meaning widespread Nazism and the possible complete genocide of the Jewish people.
A major part of America's actions into policing the world also comes from their want to, in order to protect the people that live inside of America. This is most evident during the bombing of Pearl Harbor, where the Japanese attacked. In order to maintain stability during those times, America took it upon themselves to try and find all the terrorists, potential terrorists, and keep them in certain prisons in order to just maintain a sense of peace over the rest of America, so that people knew that they were still being protected during those times.
So during the Cold War, President Marshall, they had a Marshall Plan, which was to help other countries fight communism by lending them money and support like that. That helped us. That helped America by economically, like boosting us because of all the interest we got back from countries. It also helped us build foreign relations with the countries we gave money and supported. And then
another reason that the United States participated in the Cold War was for containment, so basically it has to do with the Marshall Plan also, just to stop the spread of communism.
Okay, so the War on Terror, the aftermath of it. So President George W. Bush put into use the authorization of military force against terrorism. This was put into action September 14, 2001 by the Bush administration. This gave authorization for U.S. armed forces against people and groups who were responsible for the attacks on September 11th. The President of the United States could use all necessary and appropriate force against those who helped plan, aid, or execute with the attack. So there were a lot of thoughts that other countries would have had helped plan this attack and create and make this all possible through money, information and stuff. They set up some goals. It was defeat Osama bin Laden, who was, and his organization, which is Al-Qaeda, who was shot eventually. Find and stop other terrorism and organizations, both at home and abroad, and protect those U.S. citizens both at home and abroad. Americans united together during the War on Terror against Al-Qaeda and other terror organizations.
When 9/11 happened, America was scared out of their mind when they got attacked. So when they figured out who it was, they went for it to prevent it from ever happening again, because they saw what happened with back during the bombing of Pearl Harbor, so they weren't going to just wait around and let it happen again and strike fear into their eyes, because the people wanted to know who did it, and they wanted to take care of it before it ever got to the point of it breaking.
Okay, so on 9/11, 19 terrorists hijacked 4 planes. They all crashed, and America had to take control of their defenses so nothing like that would happen again. In an interview, I asked, do you think the nation is safer than it was during the attack? Yes, no. Explain. And when we were interviewing Leah's mom, she said there was more prominent military backup and more security in place than before, involving traveling in airports. So it just shows, even though we might have started it, kind of, it still made our airports safer in the long run and our security in America.
Are you guys done?
That's it.
Yeah.
And we got through all the visuals, right?
Yeah.